Hey there, it's Shauna. Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for June 25th. This week is about renegotiating responsibilities. We have a full moon in the sign of Capricorn, which is all about responsibility. It's about your inner power, your inner sense of authority. And then we also have a lot of other stuff going on this week that's about how it is that you maneuver these things. So I'm excited to share the astrology of this week with you, and as always, I have 3 tips for you to really make the most of this week. So first things first is before that full moon, we have Mars going retrograde. And so Mars, this is significant because Mars only goes retrograde about every 2 years or so. So what that means is Mars, the symbolism of our ability to put ourselves out in the world, to act, to do, to fight for something. Mars is also related to where we say no, where we say yes, where we draw boundaries. This is under evaluation. We're like retooling this over the next few months. So Mars goes retrograde on Tuesday, the 26th at 9 degrees of Aquarius. And then it's going, it's appearing to move backward through the zodiac, through the sign of Aquarius, and then it gets to just barely into Capricorn, to 29 degrees of Capricorn, and then it stations direct in August, Thursday, August 27th. It'll station at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and then it will appear to move forward again. So during this time, late June, July, and then most of August, we're really reflecting on how it is that we take action. Mars is about taking action and what it is that we want to stake a claim on, what it is that we're fighting for, and it's really about also how it is that you assert yourself, how it is that you take initiative. So all of these things. And this does not mean that you're not going to be using your Mars energy. You're still going to be doing that, but I wonder if you may be thinking about doing it in a different way. Another way to look at the retrograde is that our Mars energy, the symbolism of doing things, is internalized. And so that may mean that there's something on the inside where like there's an inner battle that's going on. Maybe you're deciding to go for something, to not go for something. It can look like that too. So this is highly influential for everyone, and especially the fixed signs as well. I actually did a whole Neo-Feminine TV all about Mars retrograde, so I won't talk about it too much more here, but that's important this week. And then the very next day, we have a full moon in the sign of Capricorn. And so this full moon is exact Wednesday, the 27th at 9:53 p.m. Pacific time, at 6 degrees of Capricorn. And so this is like a super extra Capricorn full moon because it's actually conjunct the planet Saturn. And Saturn and Capricorn have very similar, they have a very similar vibe, lots of similar themes. So full moon is a time of culmination. It's a time where everything feels amped up to the max, like emotionally, mentally, sometimes even in life, it can feel like there's a lot happening. There's a lot of activities and things like this. So this full moon being the sign of Capricorn, this is about how it is that we take responsibility. Capricorn is about responsibility. It's about getting shit done. It's about doing things now to prepare yourself for the future, and doing these things one step at a time, the mundane things that we need to do in order to achieve. Capricorn is very much about achievement, success, and Saturn symbolizes a lot of these things as well. It's always significant when a lunar cycle makes an aspect to a planet, especially an outer planet. And in this case, it's exact and it's a conjunction, so it's super important. So I wonder also if other things that may come up during this time, sometimes with Capricorn and with Saturn, we can feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. It might feel like you have a lot to do, or that you're responsible for a lot. That may be okay. You may feel frustrated about that. I don't know. And the trick to working with this energy is realizing that you ultimately have the power here. Sometimes when Saturn is involved, we can start to feel powerless, or we can start to feel like a boundary is being exerted on us, or a rule is being exerted on us. And what I want for you this week is to remember that you're the rule maker here. Like really, that, of course, you can't make all the rules, but as much as you can, tap into this inner sense of authority. Like this, what is it that you can control, that you can designate in a healthy way within your life? What within your actions, the way that you speak, the things that you say yes to, the things that you say no to, how can you maintain that sense of power within yourself? That's a lot of what's happening with this full moon. The other thing that's happening this week, over the weekend, is we have Mercury square Uranus. And so this is an interesting aspect because it's very different than the Mars and Capricorn moon kind of situation. So Mercury is the mind, it's the thought process. It's how we think about things. It's linear, it's logical. And then Uranus is about flashes of insight. Uranus is about changing the status quo. It's about doing things different. And so I'm wondering if, like, I feel like the flow of this week is where it feels like there's kind of like, it always feels a little bit intense around the time of the full moon. And then after the full moon on Wednesday, I think everything will just kind of like simmer down a little bit. And then over the weekend, we have this Mercury-Uranus where it's like, oh, something must change. What is it? And it kind of feels like a breaking open of something, or like a flash of insight. And it's like, okay, we're thinking about where it is that we're responsible earlier in the week. And then over the weekend, it's like, okay, but then where can you be free? And where can you change something up? And that may just involve a change of perception because it's Mercury-Uranus. It may not be that you necessarily need to do something differently. You may just need to look at it differently. So I have 3 tips for you. Tip number 1 is to reflect on your responsibilities this week. So what are your responsibilities? What are you taking responsibility for that you really don't need to, or that you haven't been asked to? Or like, what have you been taking responsibility for that is not your responsibility? And maybe there's something that comes to mind. I don't know, maybe not. But like, take stock of what it is that you're responsible. If anything, it can feel like validating sometimes to realize that maybe sources of like overwork or stress or fatigue, etc., it is because you have a lot on your plate. And you don't always need to change that, but I think it's important to acknowledge the full spectrum of what it is that you're responsible at this time. So that's tip number 1, to reflect on your responsibilities. Tip number 2, I want you to ask yourself how it is that you assert yourself. And this is an important question for the Mars retrograde period over the course of the whole entire Mars retrograde, because Mars is really about what it is that you're willing to fight for. And it's about how it is that you do that. And so we all have different styles of doing this. We all have different conflict resolution styles. And I want you to really notice, like, set the tone now at the beginning. Like, how do you assert yourself? Do you assert yourself? Do you do it? Does it work for you? Is there something where you want to do it differently? So that's tip number 2, to ask yourself that. How do you assert yourself? What does that look like? And then tip number 3 is to trust your instincts and your intellect. And this is tuning into the Mercury-Uranus energy, because Mercury is your intellect and then Uranus is your gut instinct. There's a few planets that we could associate with instincts, but Uranus is like, I know something, like I know what it is that I need to do. I may not know logically, but like I know this is what needs to happen. And it feels like, because it's a square, it feels like there's a need to use both of these. Maybe not necessarily at the same time, but I'm definitely encouraging you this week to trust both your logical sense of like, okay, this is practical, what I need to do, but then also like it feels like there's something more here. I want you to trust both of those, and if you can, find a way to integrate that into one resolution or one action. Good luck with that. Okay, so I'm going to pull a card for us. And that's what's going to happen. So I'm pulling from, this is the Illuminated Tarot. It's the little cover of the book. So this is like a combination of tarot and the love cards, which are like the playing cards. And so this is just another layer of the energy for the week. Oh, what a beautiful card. So I pulled the king. This is the King of Cups, or the King of Hearts in the love cards. So the King of Cups in tarot is related to masculine energy and a sense of authority. We were just talking about authority. And but it's the cups also, and so the suit of the cups is related to emotional balance, emotional harmony. And the King of Cups is really about having this sense of power but also softness at the same time. And so this is like a if we're looking at it as like if we were talking about a person, it's a person who is well respected and very kind and very like a very deeply feeling person. And but also like the strength there. And what I love about this card in particular is how there's like all the sea animal themes. Let's see if I can, there you go, I think you can see it better. So there's like the little fish tail, maybe it's mermaid, I don't know. There's the octopus, and there's the little fishes coming out of the cups. And I like too, the cups are like in the center, so it's kind of like that heart emotional center, and all the colors. And then the suit of the hearts is like naturally the heart, the feeling sense, and the emotional harmony. So what I would relate to that with this week is like, yeah, how do you balance feeling and then maintaining boundaries and maintaining strength at the same time? This card is an emphasis for the kind of like holding both of those energies at the same time. And I think especially with this full moon, saying that like you don't have to choose one, that you don't have to be a dick to be responsible, and you don't have to be a pushover to be a deeply feeling person. Like you can marry the two and hopefully not be a dick or a pushover. Hopefully you can be like a kind, strong, and amazing person. That's what I want for you, and I trust that will happen. So okay, I digress. That's your weekly horoscope. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, please share it with a friend who you think would enjoy it also. And if you want to know more about Mars retrograde, listen to, I think it's the most recent episode that I did of Neo Feminine TV. And so I talked about the whole, what Mars is, more in depth, and then this particular retrograde. I talked also about like how to tell if it's influencing you more personally based on your natal chart. You can check that out at neofemininetv.fireside.fm. And if you want to connect with me more, you can find me on Instagram under Neo Feminine Astrology. And of course, if you're interested in working with me, I do astrological coaching and counseling. You can find more about that on neofemininetv.fireside.com. And yeah, that's all for the week. Thank you so much for all the well wishes. I have been sick this week and my voice is still recovering. I'm actually really happy that that I felt well enough to do this video. This was a fun one for me to do, but that being said, I'm still a little tender, and so thanks for, you know, appreciating me and listening to my voice even though it's not up to par 1000%. I appreciate you. Wishing you an amazing week, and I'll talk to you soon. Namaste.